Everyone, welcome back. So in the today's video, we are going to start a tutorial for JavaScript from beginners to expert. So let's start. Basically, JavaScript is a popular programming language that has a wide range of applications. JavaScript was previously used mainly for making web pages interactive, such as form validation, animations, etc. Nowadays, JavaScript is also used in many other areas such as server-side development, mobile app development, and so on. Because of its wide range of application, you can run JavaScript in several ways. So let's see uh, how we are going to install, run the Java application in a different way. The first one is that on the Chrome, we go to the Chrome, open a tab. In the settings, you can see the more tools. You can click on the developer tools. This is the developer tool. Over here, you can on console, go to the console tab, and over here you can write your clip JavaScript code over here. Okay, so let me write down a simple one to demonstrate. So I'm writing, like you can see, console dog. So now you can see I have run my code and the output is over here. So this is a one method. Another method is using a Node.js. Okay, so for Node.js, how we are going to do that? Let's see. So Node.js, you have to install Node.js. So this is a site where you can download your Node.js based accordingly your system. If it's a Windows, then you can download the Windows version, and if it's a Mac OS, you can download the Mac OS. So in my system, I have already installed. Let me show you. So if I want to see, if I write down Node version, you can see it's already installed on my system, version 12, right? So you have to install, and after that you have to install Visual Studio Code. I have mentioned both the links, download links to in the description box, so you can see that. So this is the download Visual Studio Code. You can download, and let me open the Visual Code for you. So in this way, you have download your file. You have to double click on it. It will open your Visual Studio Code. So this is your Visual Studio Code. Okay. Over here, if you write down a JavaScript, you have to click on New File, save it. This file as a save as. Let me give a name, main.js. This is now my I'm giving. So this is now. Let me log. You can see that. So and let me save it. So now running for that, you can see that there is a run and debug option available. You can click on this, click on JavaScript debug terminal, or you can run and debug. Write down the node and go to the file location, which is in my case is the downloads. I can see these are all of these my files. So you can see the main.js over here. So let me clear it first. Now I'm going to write node and my file name. Now I just run it. You can see hello world in this way, right? Another method is this is the second method. The another method in node using a node itself. So you can go on the your command prompt on terminal, write down node, enter. Now after enter, you can write down your JavaScript code like the same. I am doing this over here. Now you can see it's printed over here. Okay, there is another way by creating a web page. Let me show you that also. So we come over here. I'll open a new file. I'm going to open a new file over here and put in the name as or I'll open it which I've already created. So this is my file, right? So this is my file. You can see that this is the file over here. In the body, you have to provide your JavaScript in this way. Both have to be on the same location. So this is a minimum code which I'm showing you. Okay, so this is how now you have to run it. So either you can directly run it over here, like if I click on this, run and debug, it will ask me, it will open this part. Now you have to open your console. Let me open the console. New tools, developer tool. In console, you can see hello world over here. So this is how we can run our JavaScript in a different way. Okay, but in our tutorial to understand the JavaScript, we are going to use Visual Studio over here. We are going to do our all kind of a programming. Okay, so now let's move ahead. Let me close others and open a new file. So now we are talking about JavaScript variables. What are the variables into that? So JavaScript variables and constants we are going to understand. So first talk about the JavaScript variable. In programming, a variable is a container, or you can say storage area to hold data. Okay, so let's take an example of that. Let me share this file name as, let me save this file name as a variable and okay dot js. Okay, so this is my file name is stored. You can see over here the location of the file. Now let me give you an example over here. So you can see that I have given let num. Okay, let is available in ES65, but we are not using ES65, but we'll talk about later on. Okay, so you can see that num is my variable where I have given a value of 5. Now if I want to declare JavaScript variables declare, how I can do that? Let me write down where x let y and x both are my variables which I am providing. Now understand the difference between a where and let. What are these things, right? So let's talk about. So basically, where is used in the older version of JavaScript, and let is the new way of declaring variable is starting ES6. Okay, so this is the basic difference between the where and let. Where is a function is scooped, okay, which will be discussed later in our tutorial, and let is a block scoped. Discuss We will discuss in this also in the later tutorial. Okay, for example, like I said, for if I say the where, this is my example for applying a where, this is an example of applying a let, right? So this is how we can use it. Okay, so let's take now we can see how we can initialize variables, right? So let me write down let x and x equal to 5. So this is how I am going to define my initializing my variable. Okay, there's another way I can utilize. Let's say let y equal to 6. This is another way of initializing the variable. Okay, and let's say now I have to uh, let's take this another example to show you. So I say let x, and I say x is the name of the variable. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm using a console dot log and x. This is what I'm doing, and I save it, and I'm going to run this. Okay, so let's say node and give the variable name. Yes, see, this is the undefined because I haven't initialized any value or assign a value to my container, which is the name as x. We have given it, so that is why it's showing me undefined. Okay, see, when we have talk about the data types, we'll understand what is undefined. Okay, Now change the value of our variables. How we are going to change the value of variables? Let's see. Okay, so let's say let y equal to 6. This is my value. Okay, now I say console dot log y. This is the value I'm going to print it. Then I say y equal to 7 and console dot log y. Right. So this is what I'm doing. Okay. So now let's run it again. So before that, let me save this file. Okay. Now run JavaScript debug terminal. Node my file name. You can see 6 and 7. Right. So this is how we are going to change a name. So let's say I need to change. There are some rules for naming convention. So let me write down the rules over here. So double forward slash we use for using the comments. Okay, so rules, let's say rules of naming JS variables. Okay, so the first one is variable name must start with a letter or underscore or the sign. Right, this is the first rule. Second rule, variable name cannot be start with numbers. Remember these rules whenever you are going to create. Right, the third one is, this is more important, JavaScript is a case sensitive language. It means y and capital Y are different in different variables. So remember that part, right? Okay. The fourth is keyword cannot be used as variable. Okay. So this is how, these are the rules which you can always remember. Okay. Now let's talk about the constant. So the constant keyword, const key, this is a keyword. Okay. Constant keyword is CONST, constant. Okay. The keyword was also introduced in the ES6 okay version to create constant, for example. This thing you have to remember. Okay, and how is this work? Const z equal to 5. This is the value I have given. Okay, now remember this point, once a constant is initialized we cannot change its value. So let me show how. So I have a value const z equal to 5. Okay, let's say z equal to 10. What I'm going doing is I'm changing the value of this, right? And let's say, let me print this and run this, right? So again I have to go to downloads, node, and run it. So it's a node. So now you can see assignment to constant variable. So this has been given an error, right? So this is how the constant we can use in JavaScript. Okay, right. Now let's talk about the console.log. What is a console.log? So all modern browsers have a web console for debugging. The console.log method is used to write message to these consoles. For example, we have seen over here, like I have shown that printing this y value in the console z value, or we can write it. So if I want to say uh, let a equal to 45 console.log and print a, what it will do? It will print a value of a, right? So this is, let me run it. So these are the different way of launching it, right? Let me save this first. Cancel it. You can see that, right? See, this is a terminal. You can, if you want, you can do the same thing using your command prompt or a terminal, whichever you are using. So I'm going to run it now. We'll see, it will show because this is the value. So let me remove this part, save it. Now you can see 6745. So this is the way we are using a console.log. Okay, now let's take some example. Let me give a few quick examples of using a console.log. Okay, so console.log, if you are doing this and if you want to, concatenate two values, so you can do in this way. Let me write it down over here. So let me create two constant, say greet equal to hello. Another const I am going to create name equal to, and this is what I have done. Now I have to write, see, greet, I can do in this way, right? Over here for space I can give this and write down the another one, right? Let's say save and run it. Okay, that's fine. So you can see hello Sam, right? This you can see that. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Let me close this. Okay, so this is how you can use the console.log. Now let's talk about JS data types, right? What are the data types and how we can use it? Okay, so let me open a new file. So I'm going to open a new file over here and I'm going to save it. Okay, so I give a name JS underscore data types. Okay, so this is the file name which I'm going to use it. So let me write down data types over here. Okay, sorry, my mistake. I haven't saved it in, right. So let me change the terminal value of this into this because I haven't saved it. Rename dot js, right. So I have changed it. Let me open my file again. Open, yeah, right. So this is, yeah. So let me write down data types. Okay. So data types are, let me write down a string. Okay, we'll talk about each and every one, but let me first write down all the data types which we have begin, and we'll see the examples of each data type. undefined, which you have seen when we try to see how many ways we can use JavaScript to run symbol and object. Okay, so these are the types, data types we have. Okay, so what is a string? Okay, let me write it down for you. Textual data, or example, you can see that as a hello, right? So this is a textual. If I talk about number, is an integer or a floating number, floating point number. Okay, and if I say example, you can say 3, okay, 3 or 3.14, right? So this is, or you can say 3 e minus 3. Okay, so this is value. Now what is a big integer? So big integer, an integer with arbitrary precision. Okay, like 1 and okay, etc. So this is how the big int we use. Boolean is a data type, okay, for where two values, true and false, right? Now talk about the undefined. What is the undefined? Variable is not, see, this one is when variable is not initialized, right? Like if I say let be in this way. Okay, now if I talk about null, denotes denotes a null value. Okay, symbol is data type whose instance are unique. We'll see the example of this one also. And immutable, remember this part, right? Like I said, let value equal to symbol symbol and the object is key value pairs of collection of data, right? Like let value equal to this. Okay, so this is how, let me save this one. So this is are the data types we have. Okay, so now let's talk about the first string. Okay, so I'll make this in this file only. Okay, so let me say java script string. Okay, so there's a three types of, three surrounded by strings are surrounded by quotes. Okay, this is, remember, single quote, single quotes, like I say hello, double quotes, hello, and triple quotes, sorry, backticks, right? This is backticks. Okay, yeah, so this is a backtick. Now let me give an example of running this. So let I create a const name equal to single within a single quote. This is my name. Const, I give a name 1 equal to double quotes. I say this is okay. Now I say const result, right? And this, what I'm going to do, see this closely. The name is, now I use dollar curly braces and give my constant or variable name, which is name, okay, and, or I can say space dollar curly braces and name one. Okay, this is I have given. Let me save it. We come over here, click on CD, downloads, and downloads, node, and our file name, which is js underscore data types. No, okay, sorry. This is what we have done, but for showing we have to use console dot log, right? And this over I am going to write result, right? So let's run again. The name is Shamsher Singh. You can see that, right? So this is how we can use our single quote, double quotes, and backticks. Okay. So single quotes and double quotes are practically the same, and you can use either of them. But in case of backticks are generally used when you need to include variables or expression into a string. This is done by wrapping variables or expressions with variables and expression in a dollar sign as shown above. In this example you can see that, right? So this is how we can use a backticks. Okay, so now let's take another example. Let me create a line separate so I can separate it, and okay, now I can write JavaScript numbers, right? So let's see how the numbers work. So as we have seen, let me copy code. Okay, sorry. So let me say I can write, okay, so const number one equal to say 2, then another one is const number 1 equal to, let's say, 3.14, another number const, let's say number 3, and I'll give the value of 3e4. Okay, this is the value I've given, which basically means of that is 3 multiply 10 raised to the power 4. That is the meaning. For your reference, this is what is the meaning. Okay, so now, so this is how we can define a constant Java number, right? So let's say a number type can also be a plus infinity and minus infinity, and not a number, for example. So we'll see on that, right? So how it's going to work? So let's say I'm giving const. So let me cover this code, format document, not, okay. So let me write down, use this control X and put it over here. Okay, so let's say I'm creating, showing you number 1 equal to 3 by 0. Write down console dot log, and I can write down explain the number 1. Okay, so what it will do, it will give me infinity. Okay, second is number 2, which I give minus 3 divided by 0. Okay, and over here I can write down again console dot log and number 2, which basically give me a minus infinity. Okay, third one example will take for a not a number, which we use as a called as a NaN. Okay, so let's see. I create a constant using a number 3, and I'm going to give a value a b c divided by 3. Okay, for an example. Now again, console.log, and you have to print the value of this. Okay, so this is, and what it will give us, an a n, not a number. Let me save this. Now let's run. What the value will get? Okay, you can see infinity, minus infinity, and an. This is way we, JavaScript provide an infinity, minus infinity, and not a number. Okay, now let's take an example of big int, right? Okay, so what is, and let me paste it. Yes, okay. Yeah, so this is my example of a big int value. You can see that this is my value 1. Okay, this is my value 1, constant result value 1, plus I'm adding 1, and what we'll see, the console log will see the result 1. Okay, the same value 2, and we can see the error also, the how the error will come, that result 2 is value 2 plus 1. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm adding a number into a big int. Okay, so let's run this again, and we see, so you can see that this is value coming over here because this is my result. Okay, but when I have a value of value 2, but I am adding a number, it will give me a result. And what is my type error is, cannot mix big int and other types, use explicit conversions. Okay, so this is how we can use a big int. Okay, now let's talk about the booleans. Okay, the booleans, let me write down. So see, these files you will find on my GitHub repository. I'll share the link in my description, so you can go over there and find these files for your reference in future. So in this, how we can use const, and I can write down data. Let's say data chat equal to true, and const value checked equal to false. This is how. See, the best benefit of using a Visual Studio Code, like you can see when I'm when I start typing keywords or a method, it will display, it will provide me a help, yeah, related to the all the methods and which keywords which we have for the JavaScript, and we can use it, right? This is how. Now let's talk about the undefined. What is the undefined? Like we study that undefined is when my variable is not initialized. So let me write it down. Yes, undefined, right? Okay, so let's see how it's going to work it. Okay, so let's say I'll give a let student. This is my variable I have created, but I have not initialized, and I'm going to write it down my name. This is what I have done. Okay, now if I want to run it, I have to just, you can see. Okay, you can see that also the problem over here. So let me make it clear. Okay, yeah, so this is, let me run this. I'm running it, so it's saying that this is resolved because it's already getting an error. So let me, uh, what I'm going to do, I'm disabling this code, and now I'm going to run it, so you can see that. Now you can see that, right? Okay, it's not showing that name. Just let me check. Yeah, okay, this game name, because I have given the name. Sorry, my mistake. I have to give the student, right? So that's why it's showing my name over there. Yeah, you can see this undefined, right? This is undefined, right? So this is how this is. But even in their case, if I And it's also provide possible to explicit assign a variable value undefined. For example, so let me say I can assign this name as a student equal to undefined. This is I can assign it, right? And if I run this again, so let's say if I run it, you can see this undefined. And it's, and remember that it's always recommended not to explicitly assign undefined to a variable. Usually null is used to assign unknown or empty value to a variable. So this always you need to keep in mind. Okay, now let's talk about the JavaScript null. So this is the same simple example. Still I write it down for your reference. So it's const num equal to null. Okay, I can write down in this way, or I can use this also, or I can use null. All are the meanings are same in this case. Okay, now let's talk about symbol. Okay, right. So what is the symbol? Let me copy the code. Okay, okay. Let me write down const value val1 equal to I say symbol. Hello. This is what I say, and again another value is const val2 equal to symbol hello. Okay, I have given the post same name value, right? Now, as they are the symbol type, you cannot change it, the values of this. Okay, so this is how we are going to use the symbols. We'll see, later on when we deep study about the JavaScript symbols. Okay, or let's take a few more example in that case, so we can see that what is the meaning of. Okay, so let me write down console. Let me say console dot log, and what I say that value val1 equal to triple equal to, I say. What is the meaning of triple equal to in JavaScript? I'll tell you in, when we study about the conditions, okay, and the symbols. Okay, so this is what I've done. So now let's run it again. Let me clear this first, and I'll run it. So you can see it's showing me false, right? Because this value and this values are not same. And why it's not same, I'll explain you once we are studying about in other chapters, right? Okay, so now let's talk about, so this is the data types we are talking about. Okay, so in our next data type is object, JavaScript object. So how the JavaScripts are working, so let me take an example. Let me create a const, and I say student. Okay, I think I student I have already created. Okay, let me say stu equal to curly braces. Okay, and I start writing first, let's say first name equal to not equal to, sorry, uh Sam. The last name would be null. Okay, comma, and let's say class is 12. So this is I have created it. Okay, so this is how we are going to use it. Okay, now let's talk about, see, these things which I am telling you right now. We are going to discuss each and every things in a detail form, in a detailed way, once we are going to study about modules, modules and JavaScript types, and the objects. Okay, so now let's another take another thing which is called using a type. So JavaScript is a dynamically typed language. Okay, so that what is the meaning of dynamically typed? That means it's a loosely typed. So JavaScript automatically determine the variables data type for you. It also means that a variable can be of one data type, and later it can be a change to another data type for an example. Okay, so let's take an example about talk about the example for this. So what we are going to do is, let me create a one. Let data, this is, I have created a variable, I initialize the variable. Now I say data equal to double quote js program. Okay, so this is how we can use it. So you can see that I have give the value of integer, but over here what I'm doing, I'm data is of a string type. So this is how we use it. Now there's another called the type of. See, type of used to find the type of a variable. You can use the type of operator. For example, const name equal to Sam. This is what I said. And if I write down type of name, okay, and what I'm going to do is, I have to, so what it will do, it will provide me the type of constant name. Okay, and how is going to do that? So this is how we are going to run this. Let me run this again. I'll clear it. And const name Sam is going in, has already declared. So let me say name 3, and I'll say name 3 over here. Right, let's save it and run it again, so you can see that. Okay, so this is how we are going to use it, and we'll discuss it later on. Right, now let's take a quick example of JavaScript operators. What are the operators we have so far? So let me create another file and save it. I'll save this file as a js operators.js. This is my file. Okay, so in this section where we will run about different operators available in JavaScript and how to use them with the help of examples. Okay, so what is an operator? The first question is, in JavaScript, an operator is a special symbol used to perform operations on operands. Okay, which is either the values and variables. For example, if I say 2 plus 3 equal to 5. Okay, so plus is my operator. Okay, and how many operators we have? So let me write down operators, which is assignment, second arithmetic, third is comparison, another one is bitwise, next is a string. After that, there are other operators. Okay, okay, so these are the things. So assignment operators, I'll write it down. Assignment operators are equal, plus equal, minus equal, divide equal, and percent equal, equal. So these are the assignment operators. Okay, and let me write down what are the meaning of these. Okay, so assignment operator example, you can see that so far we have seen like this. If we talk about this one, so this is the addition example. You can see that, like if I say plus a plus equal to 5, so what that means is a equal to a plus 5. Okay, so this is the meaning of that. Okay, same, this is a subtraction. Right, this is for I have not written one. So this is multiplication. This is for division, and this is for remainder, and this one is for exponential. Okay, so we'll see the examples of each and every. Okay, what it basically means. Okay, so let's start with the earth. This is the assignment. Okay, now let's talk about the arithmetic. Okay, you can see plus, minus. These are you known, uh, but still I'm writing it. Okay, for the reference. So it's a plus, minus, multiplication. Okay, plus, minus, plus for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, remainder. Okay, this is for incremental. Let me write down incremental by 1. This one is decrement by 1. This one is exponential power. So, example, you can say like say a b. Okay, and for this, what how we writing it, or we can write, in this case we can write. So this is how we use it, right? And if you want to see the example, let me do that. So this is the example. You can see that. Okay, so you can see this is a simple. These are the additional, subtraction, multiplication, division, remainder, increment, decrement, and you can see that. Okay, so let me run this. So before that, I'm going to clear it. Okay, I'm going to run node and my file name yes underscore. So you can see that. So this is how the arithmetics will work. Okay, now let's talk about comparison operators. Comparison operators, which is true and false. So let's take an example. So this is a value. Let me save it and let me clear and run it again. You can see true, because once a equal to 3, b equal to 2, and we are comparing it, a is greater than b, so my answer should be true. So that is why it's showing a true over here. Okay, now for the comparison operator, we have seen one comparison operator over here. Okay, uh, you can see this one, right? This is my comparison operator, and these are the values which we get in the boolean way. So let's talk about the other operators. So let me write it down over here for your double equal, not equal. Another one is triple equal. Another one is not equal equal. Then greater than, less than, greater than equal, less than equal. Okay, so these are the basic examples. So uh, we study about these two, the first, because these are the things. So what exactly it is, you need to understand. But so this is say, let me write down strict equal to. Okay, this is, that means if the operand are equal and of the same type. Okay, and same case in this way, strict not equal to, right? But what is say, if the operand equals but of different type of type or not equal at all. Okay, so this is the way we are working at. Okay, so comparison example we see. Okay, let me copy over here the examples. Okay. Yeah, so you, this is my example. You can see that, okay, greater than, equal to, this is not equal to, this is a strictly equal to. So you can see that my this would be the 2, but this one, because in this case one is my number, another one is my string, so that is why it's going to be give me a value as a false. Okay, this is a console again, the strict not equal to operator. You can see that console.log2, in the same way we are doing it. Okay, so this is how the use it. Now logical operators perform logical operations and return a boolean value, either true or false, which we have already seen. But there are the operators. Let's see the operators. What are the operators for logical? So it's a and, or, a. After that we have a not. Okay, logical and logical or. So you know that this one, that if we are using a and, logical and, that means both of the values, operand values, are true, else written false, right? This is the or, logical or. So if either of the operand is true, returns false if both are false. Okay, logical not is the if the operand value is true, then it will reverse, it will give a false or vice versa. So the example is, so you can see that, so this is the example. Let me run it. So you can see true false is providing values of that, the last values, last four values. Okay, so this is how. Now let's talk about the bitwise. What is a bitwise operator? Bitwise operators. Okay, and 5. So what are these? Okay, so bitwise operators perform operation on binary representation of numbers. Okay, so let me, this is bitwise and, let me write down for your reference. Okay, so bitwise and, this one is bitwise or, this is bitwise XOR, bitwise not, this is left shift, this is right shift, and this is, sorry, yeah, sign, and this one is 0 fill right shift. Okay, this is the operators, right? We'll run it later on, because this is the introduction part where I'm providing you some details about, how to start work with a JavaScript. Later on, we have a complete detail, detail for each bitwise operators, string operators, and other modules of the JavaScript to understand, on the expert level side. Okay. Now the next one is in our list is string operator. Okay. Now how these things work. Okay. So let me take an example and I'll show you. So this is my example. See, this is I have take a variable a. I have given the name JavaScript. Okay, and it's saying I have already created. So let me say I say a1 over here. So I need to write down, change my variable, and over here I can say this one. So what it will do, it will, I have a Java one, but when I say plus equal to one, so what it will do, it will be like a equal to a plus one and the value of that, right? So it will add the JavaScript tutorial in this form, right? So let's run it and see. So you can see JavaScript tutorial. Okay, so this is how we can. So plus sign, when plus sign is used with a string, it performs concatenation. However, when plus is used with numbers, it performs addition. So remember that part, right? So there are many other operators like delete, type of, void, in instance of. Okay, we'll see later on how these things are work. Okay, now the last part in this section we see the JavaScript command. So like I said, that double, using, if I want to write a command, so for a single line command, I can use a double forward slash, or if multiple lines I can use it in this form, right? So this is how we can use the commands part. Okay, for single line or multi-line commands. Okay, now another thing which need to learn important, which is a type conversion. So basically in programming, type conversion is a process of converting data of one type to another. For example, say converting string data to number. There are two types of type conversion in JavaScript. Let me write down. Type conversion. One is implicit, which is basically automatic type conversion. Second is explicit, which is manual type conversion. Okay, so let's talk about the implicit conversion. See, in certain situations, JavaScript automatically converts one data type to another, okay, to the right type. This is known as the implicit conversion. So let's take an example where we are implicitly conversion to string. So this is my example. You can see that. Okay, so I have a one variable called result. Okay, result, I'm adding 3 plus 2. This is 3 is my string, and the number I'm adding it, and see the result. The another one is 3 plus 2, then we'll see what is the result. Then 3 plus undefined, and 3 plus null. So what will be the value? So you can see that it's converting my these values into a string, and then we are getting these values. Okay, or let me run it. So you can see 32, 32, 3 undefined, 3 null. So when a number is added to a string, JavaScript converts the number to a string before concatenation. Remember this part, right? Okay. Now let's take another implicit example, two numbers. This is what we have seen for string, and now we can see for numbers, right? So this is my numbers. You can see 4 minus 2, 4 minus 2, 4, 2. Okay, so what is going to provide me results? You can see that a string minus a string. This is how we are getting it. So it's converting number type. This is, you can see 4 minus 2, so it's providing me again 2, 4 minus into 2. So it what is going to do is converting into my number type. Oh sorry, let me, because I have already written over here, so let me write down. Why is giving me? Because I have already defined a result variable over there. Let's run it again. Now you can see that this is the error I'm getting is because I have done something wrong over here. Result 3 over here. Yeah, right. So basically, this is how. Let me run it again. So basically, so now see, this is how 2, 2, 8, 2. So this is the values of your coming over here in this way. So this is how you can use it. Now let's talk about the non-numeric strings result to not to number. So this is my example where what I am doing, writing over here. Okay, and let's run this and see the result. So you can see undefined, undefined in this case, right? Now let's take another example for implicit Boolean conversion to number. So sorry, my mistake. This closed unexpectedly. So let's open and we open the file. Go to files, open. This is place where I store it. Open this. So, so you can see that. Okay. So this is okay. So now let's talk about the JavaScript explicit conversion. So you can also convert one data type to another as per your needs. The type conversion that you do manually is known as explicit type conversion. In JavaScript, explicit type conversions are done using built-in methods. So here are some common methods of explicit conversion. Let's see how this. So first, the first one is convert to number explicitly. Okay, let me write down. Yes, this is what I have defined. And let's say, let me write down a string to number. Okay, and I say array equal to number 3 to 4. Okay, and write down console dot log and I give them rest. Right. So this is how I'm going to do that. Okay, so what it will do and write down something else also. So let's say res equal to res equal to number and I would say 3 to 4 e minus 1, right? And that's a console dot log. We are going to res. Okay, so let's save it and we're going to run JavaScript after. So for that, what I need to do, I have to go my location where my file is stored, then write down node and the file name, which is js underscore operator. Right, now I have run it. So as you can see, 324 32.4. So this is how we can use explicitly. Okay, banana. So few things you need to remember. You can also generate numbers from a string using parse int, parse float, unary operator, and math.float. Okay, so let's see the example for this also. Right. So how you can generate the numbers from that. So let me remove this. Okay, so you can see that the parse integer 20.201. So it will provide me the value of 20 as an integer. If I say float, it will provide me this value in this way. If I say plus 01, this would be my value, and if I say math.floor, it will generate the number, right? So you can see that 20, 20.01, 20.01, 20, right? So this is how we are going to use it. Okay. Now there's another thing which you can, we can do by using, we can use convert to strings explicitly. Okay, we can convert to boolean explicitly. Okay, or so there are different ways to do that. Okay, explicitly. Okay, so when we are doing, see the examples, we are going to create the methods, we see how we can use the explicit methods to convert it. So let's take an example of converting strings explicitly. So let's say uh, result equal to string. This is how we can convert it, 3 to 4, and I say console.log. I need to write down the result. Sorry, result. Okay, let's run it, and you can see the results. Right? See, 3 to 4. This is comes in the integer form. Right? So this is how we can use, math defined methods for converting explicitly. Okay. Now let's take an example for the boolean also. I say result equal to boolean, and I'll give this. Okay, understand what will be the result is. Okay, and if I say console.log, okay, and another, I take result equal to boolean, and I write 0 over here. Okay, and I say console again dot, right. Take another example. Okay, and I would say result equal to boolean, and let's say the value, this value, and console dot log result. Okay, now let's see what would be my results over here, right? So I run it, you can see false, false, true. So basically in JavaScript, if you are passing a value, any, passing a no value, if you're passing a 0, if you're passing undefined, null, or not a number, it will give you the value as a false. But if you're passing some value or a string, okay, or a space, even if considering as a space also, it will provide you a true, like we have seen in example. Okay, so for that's all for this session. So in the next section, we are going to see the operators in a detailed way. What are the operators we have? Okay, the control flow, we are going to see the control flows. What are the control flows we have? How these control flows will work? Okay, and if you like this video, please subscribe, and from our motivation for our channel, follow and share with others. And if you are not subscribed till now, please hit the subscribe button, and click on the bell icon so you can get the notification of our latest video. Thank you very much.